You might have noticed that we print a lot of things on the screen in this course, and this is not about to change. What will change, though, is how we print those things on the screen. Before we used functions like puts or puts and printf, but today we're going to be using streams, and iostreams at that. The things that we're going to be talking about today are not part of the C++ language itself. Rather, these things are part of a library, and this library is called the Standard Template Library, or STL for short. In other words, it's the standard C++ library. And as you might have already guessed by the amount of usage of the word standard here, it is a library that is so ingrained into the C++ that it really feels as if it is part of the language. And generally speaking, if you don't have a good reason for this, and I mean a good reason for this, you can really think of this as being part of the language. You can easily use whatever is in the STL as if it was provided by the language itself. So now let's dive into the iostreams. And they're needed to input stuff from the standard input and to output stuff to the standard output. We already have seen a couple of ways to print stuff to the standard output, like printf or puts or puts functions. This is just like that. It's a little bit more high level, so it can work with more types and it's kind of easier to use from the interface level. There are three constructs that we will be using here: the std_cin, the std_cout, and std_cir. And if you remember, we've already talked about the standard output and standard input streams. We were just talking about them in the context of the Unix terminal. So feel free to go back and watch a little bit about those if you need a refresher. I will leave a link on top of the screen here. If you guys are interested in what I'm talking about here, and you would like to support this channel, the best way to do it right now would be to just like the videos, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave any comment whatsoever under the video, because I believe that that's how the YouTube algorithm works, and the more people watch this, the more discussions we will have, and the more feedback I get from you. Cool, so basically the cin, cout, and cir just map to standard input, standard output, and standard error output. So if you want to use those things, we have to include the iostream header. And once we've included the iostream header, we can use the so-called operators. The operators can be very different. They can be like plus, minus, and whatever else. But in this case, we care about the operators that look like two comparison operators basically stacked together. So if you use the two bigger than operators, that's what you use with the cin operator if you want to read something from the standard input. And if you use the two less than operators, then this is the operator that you use with the cout or cir to print something to the standard output or to the standard error output. And if we look at the example here, it actually is very simple to use. You just include the iostream. So if I want to read in some number, I can of course do that. And once I read this number, I can just print it out into the standard output and maybe print some error message afterwards. And that's basically all that you need to know about the using the I/O streams. They are definitely not the best way to log information on the screen, but they're really good enough for beginners. And later in the course, we will talk about a third-party solution that will work much better than they do in terms of speed and also the usefulness.